Well, ladies and gentlemen, we do have the major bombshell letter from Mark Zuckerberg where he admits to censoring the Hunter Biden laptop story via the FBI, saying that there was going to be Russian disinformation related to corruption within the Biden family. So there's another layer to it to where originally it was like very vague. And if you remember Zuckerberg on Joe Rogan, he was like, well, they just told us to be wary of potential Russian disinformation. It wasn't necessarily specified that it was within and about the Biden family, but it looks like all of these major big tech social media companies prior to the 2020 election were debriefed specifically on Biden family corruption. The FBI telling the big tech, listen, they're going to come out with false stuff. Trust me, it's going to be false regarding Biden family corruption, and make sure you call it disinformation because it's going to be Russia trying to help Trump win the election. And remember, this is in 2020. This is already after the fake Russia hoax in 2016, where, I mean, you had the illegal Steele dossier with Christopher Steele and just how ridiculous that was. Hillary Clinton only getting an $8,000 fine. That railroaded Trump's administration, and they tried to make it illegitimate for 2.5 years as the investigation, the Mueller report, all of it was going on. So this is even after it, and they're still saying, well, if there's anything, any October surprise that comes out that's bad about Biden or his family, because I'm guessing they knew that the Republicans had something that they were waiting to share. And then, of course, the October surprise comes, 5, 6 days before the election. That's exactly what they were doing. It was the Hunter Biden laptop that they were sitting on. And somebody probably knew that within the FBI. And they said, listen, we're going to brief them and tell them and try and nip this story in the butt before it even gets out by saying preemptively, there's going to be some type of crazy Biden corruption story that comes out before the election. It is completely fake. They're trying to help Trump win. This is what Zuckerberg is admitting. And now we've all been vindicated and this is what I've been saying. People always ask me, they think it's this huge own when liberals say, well, do you believe the election was stolen? Well, no, the election was manipulated by big tech 1000%. You've got one single October surprise. There was no October surprise on Trump. Nobody ever mentions that. In 2020, they had nothing on Trump. They just had the COVID boogeyman. They didn't actually have anything new. The Trump people had this on Biden. The Republicans did. And then they censored it. And you can see this is the key statement. I know the stuff about, the coronavirus and everything. That's terrible. Trust me, I get it. But I'm very focused on manipulation of the 2020 election. And this is all real. This is all legit. It's coming from Zuckerberg. People are saying, well, Zuckerberg maybe had a rebirthing. Why would he do this? Guys, it's got nothing to do with it. Zuckerberg knew there was a whistleblower that's going to come out with this information anyways. He's getting ahead of it to look a little bit better, which is smart. I mean, he's not a dumb person, obviously. So that's what he's doing. This is not some situation. Remember, Zuckerberg donates $400 million. That's election changing money to the Democrats in 2020. Election changing. That wins you an election, especially if it's decided by 40K votes over the 3 different swing states. In a separate situation, this is key. The FBI warned about potential Russian disinformation, a disinformation operation about Biden leading up to the 2020 election in the fall, when we saw a New York Post story reporting on corruption allegations involving then Democratic presidential nominee Biden's family. We sent the story to fact checkers for review and temporarily demoted it while waiting for a reply. And of course, they demoted it. I mean, the story got crushed. With Twitter, it was even worse. Meta and Zuckerberg have always said, well, they've always tried to be, it was sent to the fact checkers. We didn't completely, destroy the story, but they censored it heavily. And Zuckerberg did admit that on Rogan. So that story got crushed. And the widespread mainstream belief was that that story was fake. It was Russian disinformation when people were going to vote on election day in 2020. That is key. And this is Zuckerberg saying that they shouldn't have done that. He's admitting it. And we've changed our policies and processes to make sure it doesn't happen again. We no longer temporarily demote things while we wait for fact checkers. And so again, I think this is Zuckerberg getting out ahead of something. This is basically him admitting that they did something really, really bad. Obviously, the pandemic stuff is horrible. You can see in 2021, senior officials from the Biden administration, including the White House, repeatedly pressured our teams for months to censor certain COVID-19 content, including humor and satire, and expressed a lot of frustration with our teams when we didn't agree. Ultimately, it was our decision whether or not to take content down. So you've got the Biden administration pressuring all of these major big I mean big tech is was in such bed with Biden, and this is why Musk taking over X is so important, and now maybe Zuckerberg is changing his tune a little bit. Remember, after the assassination attempt, Zuckerberg came out and said it was badass what Trump did, and that was nice. But again, I think a lot of this is Zuckerberg trying to stay ahead of a whistleblower that's very likely going to come out, because why else would you release this basically concession saying, yeah, we messed up really bad in the 2020 election? This is huge stuff from Zuckerberg. And so this is the real bombshell. And this is the admission that not only did the FBI tell us there could be some type of disinformation, they said specifically with regarding Biden family corruption, what I think happened is they probably knew that the Trump people were sitting on the Hunter Biden laptop story. And I mean, it was very obvious that that was released at a specific time. They broke that. They broke it to the New York Post. They broke it to everyone at a certain time, 5 days before the election. It's not a coincidence that they were sitting on it and then did it. And the FBI says, oh, guys, there's going to be fake Russian disinformation about Biden's corruption and his family's corruption. Guys, just disregard that immediately. Say that it's fake, it's disinformation, it's Russia trying to. And again, remember, this was after the Russian hoax where they said that Russia won Trump the election and tried to deem him illegitimate. That's why the whole January 6th thing is so funny. They're talking about Trump trying to take back the election. They called him illegitimate for 3 years, and you've got liberal tweets dating all the way to 2019, which would have been the third year of his term, saying that Trump is not legitimate and Russia hacked in and won Trump the election illegally. This has all come out. That's why January 6th is so ridiculous. Not to mention everything else within January 6th. Trump saying be patriotic and peaceful. We're not going to go over that again. But this is the huge stuff right here. This is a big article, or excuse me, a big thing that came out yesterday. A letter from Zuckerberg. You can see there's another part. Zuckerberg talking about this just looks like yada 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 stuff. Despite our analysis, I've seen showing otherwise. We know that some people believe this work benefited one party over the other. So, well, what Zuckerberg has to understand, it's not just Facebook. It's not. And what is your analysis? Are you talking about just Facebook? So they're trying to say, well, we didn't influence the election. We were sorry. But I mean, listen, when you have all of the big tech saying a story's fake, that 3 days before the election, when it's an October surprise with the FBI saying, I mean, it ends up saying it's real. The laptop is real. I mean, this is huge stuff. And this is the difference between Trump and Biden and the whole corruption idea. And they try flexing like, well, Trump lost a lot of his net worth while being in the White House. Yes, that's a sacrifice Trump made. Trump's the only one to lose money while being in the White House. All the liberal politicians, they all gain money. Biden becomes a millionaire. All of his family members are millionaires. But no, it's just a coincidence. He can do that very easily on a $400K salary. Same thing with Nancy Pelosi and all of them. That's got more to do with stocks and insider trading than anything. But with Biden, it's all corruption with Ukraine and in these Eastern European countries. It's really, really bad. So this is huge stuff. This is what I was saying and why I say there was manipulation within the 2020 election. There's no way for Zuckerberg to sit there and say, I think they're trying to save themselves by saying, well, we have our internal analysis. And while we did do this and it was bad and it was 4 days before the election and we censored the only October surprise, it didn't affect the election at all. I don't know how you can say that when the election was decided by 40,000 votes in a few key swing states when every vote counts. And technically nobody's going to be able to say for sure one way or another because we don't have that proof on that alternate scenario. What if they didn't silence the story and it came out? We don't know what would happen, how many people would be swayed to switch their vote or not vote or vote for third party. There's so many different things that come into play, especially in the key swing states like a Georgia, a Pennsylvania, and Arizona, the states that were absurdly close. So my analysis on this is it's not surprising. I had been saying this for a while, and I think Zuckerberg's trying to get out ahead of something. You could say, well, Zuckerberg maybe is changing his tune because it seems like he's been nicer to Trump recently, and he seems like Meta in general is kind of there was this whole thing. I really think Elon Musk has changed things. I'll be completely honest. Elon Musk, because really no one was standing up to the big daddy, the liberal government, And because all these other people, all of these people controlling the social medias, they were all liberal themselves. Now they might not have agreed how they were being moderated by the government, but it's by people that you agree with, so it's easier to enforce those type of policies onto the users. If you are someone that works for Meta and you're a liberal, and maybe it's like, well, this is unethical, but we are also liberals, these people are liberals, we share the same ideology, let's do this. But now with Musk taking over, it's thrown a complete monkey wrench. So many people are jealous of Musk, and now they're like, listen, maybe free speech is the answer. Maybe listening to the government and censoring things based on whatever regime is in power, like the Biden administration saying to censor all of the COVID stuff and getting angry when these big tech platforms would not censor it. Maybe that's an issue, and maybe we should stand up to that. So maybe there is something changing thanks to Elon Musk. That's very key and it's very huge. But yeah, this was the big bombshell that came out last night around 8 o'clock Eastern. And I did want to talk about it. And it confirms that, yes, they very likely knew that the October surprise on the Biden family corruption with the Hunter Biden laptop was coming. And they preemptively said it's going to be Russian disinformation. Make sure you censor it. When in reality, they knew very likely it was real and they wanted to stop it because they knew it was going to be a bad look for their candidate and potentially cost Biden the election. This is bombshell stuff. But either way, guys, that is going to do it for this video. Make sure you follow me on X. Link to that's always in the description.